Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's DAF, Bava Kamma DAF, Kuf Yud Zayin. We are holding two lines off the top, Umana Temra, de Miknasa, Loi Gamrinan. So at the end of yesterday's DAF, we said that if something is an established din, you can learn from it, you can equate to it, you can draw a parallel and apply that concept elsewhere as well. But if it's just a knas, a penalty, a fine, perhaps it's just meant to address a local one-time concern. It's an exceptional circumstance which doesn't allow for drawing of parallels. Says the Gemara, how do we know this concept? You can learn from din, but not from knas. How do we know to say, we don't have a right to draw a parallel, to compare to a knas. You can't learn anything, you can't build on a knas. The sanya we have learned in a price. In the earlier times, the Chachamim would say, if one approaches his friend's taharis, things which are, fruit which are tahar, and he makes it tameh, so he damages it, but not in a very discernible way, not in a physical way, in a more, spiritual realm, but he causes him loss. Or he takes his friend's wine and pours it for the Avodah Zarah, which is an act of Aveira, it's an Avodah Zarah, but also it affects the item. It makes it forbidden for future use. It's Oyser Bahana. Again, it's an intangible, unseen damage. So in those two cases, we obligate this fellow to pay, even though it's, as Rashi calls it, not a hezek nikar, not a visible damage, you pay. And of course it's a knas, because it's not an actual physical damage. So initially it was just these two cases. Chazru leima, then later on they added af hamadameya. He takes his friend's teruma. Actually, he takes some of his, let's say his teruma, and he mixes it into his friend's chulam, non-teruma material, in which case he now makes it usher for a non-kohen to eat it, which diminishes its value, lowers its value because it's only suitable for kohanim, very small market, low demand. So that also qualifies for the knas, you have to pay for that damage. Initially, just two items, metame and menasech, then they added midameya. Chazru in, only after they added it, do we have that third item on the list. Loi chazru loi, but before they came back to add that point, we stick to only metame and menasech. Why don't we learn midameh from the other ones? Pretty similar, situation. My time of why lav mishum de knasu. After all, these are knases. The knasa like amrina minay. You can't learn, from a knas to elsewhere. Perhaps there was a specific reason why they were concerned more about those cases. Maybe they were more prevalent, more common, more. Apparently, we cannot build on a knas unless it was explicitly established as as such. Loi, not necessarily so. Meikara sabri. There is a reason why. Initially, they stuck to two, because they figured lehefsid meruba chashashu. Those two, metame, menasech, it involves great loss. He makes the wine asur. He's metame, let's say his friend's truma, which makes it now unsuitable for achila. That's a hefsed meruba. There, and we, we're more concerned. We apply the knas. Hefsed more lechashashu, but medameya, which after all is just a small hefsed, because even if a Yisrael cannot eat this mixture, but a kohen can, so you're only losing a little bit. So maybe that doesn't really justify a knas. Well, sabri. Ultimately, they turned around and they added that to the list as well. The hefsed more dami chashashu. We're concerned about hefsed more as well, and they applied a knas from dameya too. So there was a special reason, unrelated to this idea of whether we can learn from a knas, right? Says the Mu'eli, but really, is that the reason for this change of events? Well, Tani, Avu the Rabbi Abin. We have another version of this episode, of this chain of events. He had a different price. Initially, it was another two items, Hamatame v'Hamameya. Those two on the list. And then they added Menasech. Now, Menasech, if you realize, involves much greater loss than Matame and Madame. Menasach is making the wine totally asur. Chazru loy ma'afa menasach. Chazru in only because they came back and added that to the list. Otherwise, it would not be on that list. Loy chazru loy. My time and why? Hey, you can't say, well, it's because it's a small harm, a small damage. It's incorrect. If anything, menasach is a greater hefsed. Oh, so apparently, it's because of this point. You can't compare one to the other. My time elav mishum deloy gabrin miknasa. You can't build on a knas. Perhaps there's reason why we were more concerned about one. Maybe one was more common, more right. Said Marloi, no. I'll tell you why. Initially, Menasech was not on the list. There was a special reason for it. Meikara Savri. Initially, they held like Rabbi Abin, coming up in a minute. Then they went to Rabbi Yirmiyah. What does that mean? Meikara Savri Rabbi Abin. Initially, they figured like Rabbi Abin that a Menasech is potter from payment. You know why? Because as he's getting involved in harming the other fellow's wine, he's actually involving himself in a forbidden act of avodah zarah. He's lifting the wine to pour it. So that generates chiv misa, which is the einish for avodah zarah. And when one is liable to misa, he's unliable to monetary liabilities. Right? You get the most severe punishment. So that's why we don't apply a penalty to this fellow. Rabbi Abin, Rabbi Abin. He has a different case, which we're going to sort of compare to our story. The point being that the act of sin, the act of Aveira, begins as you start making the effort, even before you actually pour the wine. And therefore, you're potter from any payments from that moment, from when you lifted it. And therefore, there's no possibility of charging you anything for the damage. Zorak chetz mitchilas arba l'b'seif arba. Person takes an arrow and shoots it 4 amois in the street, which is a malach on Shabbos. V'kara shiroyin b'lichasai potter, and it tears through, as it's flying, tears through some silk, some materials, and damages it. Is the person chayiv? No, because it's taking place during a malacha, which is an isser d'oraisa, which generates chiv misa. Kimlei b'drabi minei. Now, although the arrow had not yet landed, it hadn't yet completed its flight, the malacha was not completed, but it had begun, and that's enough to exempt this person from any other potential financial liabilities taking place simultaneous with that act. Because you have to lift it, meaning the arrow has to take off in order for it to land at the end of 4 amois. So it's all part of the same event. And it generates chiv misa, which preempts any chiv mami. Likewise, a fellow who picked up wine, stole the wine from his friend, well, you don't say, well, right now he's chayiv to pay for it. No, it's part of the act of the upcoming pouring for avodah zarah, which generates misa, which preempts any chiv mami. That was the initial thinking. Therefore, Menasach was not on this list. But ultimately, the Chacham switched their approach. Savrik Rabbi Yirmiyah. We follow Rabbi Yirmiyah's rationale. Don't Rabbi Yirmiyah, no. We split the event into 2. Mishas Agbo, Kanya. As soon as he picked up the wine, he stole it. Before he did Nisuch, even though he intended, but at this point, it's still he just stole it. He's chayiv. Like a gazlan. He's chayiv le'imami. But the chi of misa only happens later when he pours achas nisuch. So it's sort of 2 unrelated aspects of this ma'asa, and therefore we can allow ourselves to charge him for the damage. Okay, Rav Huna bar Yehuda, that was his name. Ikla lebei Avyoni. So he came to this town called Avyoni. Okay, after a while he comes back to Rava. Also, committed Rava. So Rabbi asks him, any news in Avyoni? Anything interesting? Klum ma'asa b'liyotcha? You're a Rav, a Paisik. Tell me, any interesting shilas came your way? He says, yeah, actually I had an interesting story with a meiser, which is, by the way, going to be the topic of today's daf. Meiser, a person who hands over Jewish property to a guy. Okay? And an informer, right? So we have a story where a Yisrael did that. Amalei Yisrael shansu oivdei kechavim. So this Yisrael was coerced by Goyim to identify a Yiddish property for them to take. So he actually, identified, some property, and they took it. So the question was whether, this Meiser is responsible for causing that other person a loss. Baliyadi, so the story was presented to me, and I held them responsible. Amalei, so Rabbi says, cancel that psak. Ahader uvdil, go give back the, reverse the verdict. Give the fellow back his money. The son, you have a brisa. It's not his fault. He was forced. Yisrael shansu. Yisrael, who was forced by Goyim, they threatened him. And he identified a Yid's property for them. Potter, he's Potter, because, Now, on the other hand, if he actually took something and gave it to them, physically gave it to them, and the Rashba explains that, he was they were just pushing him to give them something, and he chose to give them, the friend's property. So in this case, he's responsible. Not of anasim be'ad chayiv. It's called matzel atzmoi b'mam chaver. One is not allowed to save himself by offering his friends, property and possessions. So he's chayiv. Amar Rabba, im herama atzmoi k'nosa v'nosam b'yadami. Let's say the Yid initiates. He approaches the Goyim and offers them a certain property. Here, this is a nice piece of land hiding behind the valley, take that. Then he's responsible as though we say in the other case when he took something and gave it to them directly, because he wasn't forced to do so. Okay, so he's chayiv to pay. So, bottom line is, Rava told him to cancel he obligated this person. He said, no, it's not his fault. He was forced to do it. Okay, says the Gemara, who gavra dansu oivdei kechavim. There's another story, who was forced by Goyim, v'ach v'achamra de Rav Mori breder Pinchas, breder Rav Chisda, and he showed him to the wine of Rav Mori. So now they had the wine there. Okay, great. But, the first part was not his fault. He was forced. Perhaps they were threatening to kill him, right? So that part he's not responsible for. But now comes the catch. They told him, look, we're not done. You have a job to do. You found us the wine. Bring it for us. Dari v'amti badan. Carry the wine for us. Okay, he had no choice. Dara v'amti badan. So he picked up the wine and he transported it for them. No, asal kamei the Rav Ashi. So he came to Rav Ashi afterwards. Patrina, he exempted him. It's not his fault. Rabban asked, what do you mean? He went a bit too far. He actually physically assisted them in transporting the stuff. So he's responsible. Tani, we learned in the Brayso, right? If he physically gives it to them, he's chayiv. That's what happened here. Amar Lahu, so he told him, no, it's different. Hani mili, that's only a problem. When they didn't put him on this, connect him to this property. Basically, they didn't discover the property. And he went and he found something and gave it to them. Of course he's chayiv, but once they're here and they know about it, and he's just serving as their, gopher right now. Here, we have it, you already showed it to us. And that part he's not chayiv for, he was forced. Come, now we're forcing you to help us. That's a different story. They already have it. It's accessible to them. If it's successful to them, mikli kali, so it's already burnt. It's gone. The fact that he's helping them, transport it, it's just a, technical help that he's doing, but he's not really changing the equation. Now comes a kash on this. The anos, the robber, forces the yid to tell him, listen, hand me the pakia, the bundle of the omer of this straw, this bundle of grapes. And he passed it on to him, chayiv. Why is he chayiv? He was forced. And the guy already has it in his hands. My skin was speaking on the Oh, it was not accessible to the guy. The guy was on the other side of the river. And now he's asking the Yisrael to give it to him. Yisrael is responsible. He shouldn't be doing this. The economy can, in fact, be medayik in the brisa that the item at this point was not accessible to the guy diktani. The guy said, "Hayshit, pass it to me," meaning I can't reach it. Pass it to me. Rather than saying just give it to me. Shema, no, it's a raya. It wasn't accessible. Therefore, when the Yid gives it to him, he destroyed it. There was a story involving a shusa, a fish trap, an animal trap. The havu minzu lebeitre. So the two fellows disputing ownership of this item. Hay Omar Didi, who? Hay Omar Didi. Reuben claimed it as his, and Shimon likewise. Azal chad minaya. So, out of desperation, one of the disputants decided, you know what? I have nothing to lose. I'm not going to get it anyway. Let me just give it on to the authorities. And Masr lefar hagno de malka. Amar Abaye, says Abaye, Yochei loymar. So this fellow can absolve himself. He can pater himself. He can say, look, sure, I was a meiser, but I was meiser my thing. It was really mine. I have a right to do that. No, when I gave it away, ki masri, didi masri. Amali Rabbi says, well, what do you mean? What right does he have to say that? We haven't yet established ownership. Elam or Rabbi says, no, we put him to chen, we force him, until he gets it back and he goes to the bezdin. There was another fellow who was threatening to hand over his friend Tevin, his straw, to the authorities. Also made the Rav. So this fellow comes to Rav, and Rav heard about it. Don't try to, find favor in the eyes of the authorities and the tax collectors by doing this. Don't act as an informer. So this fellow was brazen, and he responded with brazenness. No, I'm going to bring them to the Rav Kahana. Rav Kahana was sitting there, and he was so upset how this fellow was responding disrespectfully to Rav, and he killed him. Shamte lekui minei. He crushed his neck. He killed him. So Rav applied the following pasuk on this person who died as a result of this, incident. Okay, so they died. Your children died, and it says kisay michmar, like a buffalo, a shor habar, a wild ox, michmar that fell into a trap. What's the relevance? Ma toize, just like this animal, kimishanalo michmar. Once he was trapped, ein rachman alav. There's no compassion on him anymore. Af maman shel Yisrael kimishanafal biyad ovdi yechavim. Ein rachman alav. Likewise, either shegelt in the hands of a guy, they don't care. So in a way, he was supporting what Rav Kahana did to this fellow, because he was getting himself involved in risky things, dangerous business, giving over Mama Yisrael to a guy. Okay, but now there was a concern about the authorities pursuing Rav Kahana for murder. Amalei, so he told Rav Kahana, he called him Kahana, Ado idnav parsoi, until recently we had the parsoim, we're not too concerned about murderers. But now we have a new sheriff in town. The Greeks are here. The kapto shvichas damim. They officially are very strict. Come down hard on murderers. They say murderer. We're gonna pursue the murderers. So basically, they're trying to establish law and order, and you're gonna be in trouble. You're gonna get arrested soon. Quickly, let me give you an eitzah kum sak. Go up la'ard Yisrael to Eretz Yisrael. V'kabel alach. And you know what? You have to accept upon yourself the following commitment. You're going to go to Rabbi Yehuda, right? Big Rosh Hashiva. Keep quiet for don't ask him any questions. Don't challenge his halachos, his shiurim, for a span of 7 years. And the Marsha adds this was going to be an atonement, a kapara, for killing this fellow without asking Rav. So apparently there was, a taina on him for doing that, and therefore go up there and, listen quietly for 7 years. Also, so he went up there to Yisrael, and he went to the Chachamim. Ashkechel Rish Lakish. So he saw Rish Lakish, who was a Talmud of Rabbi Yehuda, reviewing the whole shir that Rabbi Yehuda just gave. To Yosef, Bava Kamma, Mesifta Diyam the Rabbanon. He was sitting and reviewing the Mesifta, the learning to the Rabbanon, the daily, shir. Amalahu. So afterwards, Rav Kahana turned to the Bnei Yeshiva and he said, Rish Lakish Hecha, where's Rish Lakish? Amali Amais. He said, what do you need him for? Amalahu. He says, Hi Kushiva, Peruka. I have a lot to ask, a lot of Kushis and Perukas questions. He should have said Azoy, he should have said this, he should have answered that. He had a lot to say about the shir. Amali Rish Lakish. So this message was passed on to Rish Lakish that there's somebody very serious just arrived in the yeshiva. Also Rish Lakish. So Rish Lakish went over to Rabbi Yehuda. Amali Rabbi Yehuda, Alami Bava, we have a lion who just came up from Bava. La'ayin Ma'arib Mesifta Dilamachar. Pay close attention to the shir that you're giving tomorrow in the yeshiva, and be prepared. Lamachar, so the next day, Yisvo Bava Kamma. Where they placed the new Talmud, Rav Kahana, right, on the first row in front of Rabbi Yehuda. Omar Shmaitza V'Le'akshi. Rabbi Yehuda gave his, halacha, no response, no challenge from the new arrival. Shmaitza V'Le'akshi, another halacha, no comment. Okay, so they sort of felt a letdown. So he sent them all the way to past the to the 7th row. All the way to the last row. Basically, they were unimpressed with his lack of participation. They figured they expected more. After the shir told Arisha Marta, you spoke about a lion with great abilities. Nasa Shul, he became lame like a little fox. Okay, so Rav Kahana, upon experiencing this, demotion, Omar, he says, look, Yehirava, it should be Hashem's Ratzon, the Hani Sheva Dori. These 7 rows that I was demoted from, Lahavu Chilu Sheva Shtin, it should compensate. It should be in place of the 7 years that Rav told me about. So 7 rows, each row is like a year of silence, and now I'm ready to go. Right? Chilu Sheva Shtin, the Amar Rav, instead of the 7 years that Rav spoke of. Okay, so now it's time to really show his true colors. Kama Karei, he got up on his feet, Amalei. And he tells Rabbi Yehuda, Nahadir Ma'bereisha. Could you just go back a minute to the beginning? Amar Shemaitza. So he repeated that first halacha. Va'akshi. And Rav Kahana had a real strong kasha. Oikme Bava Kamma. So they brought him all the way to the first row. Amar Shemaitza Va'akshi. Next shot. A halacha with a kasha. So now they couldn't bring him any closer. Rabbi Yehuda Yosef Hasheva B'Starki. So Rabbi Yehuda was sitting on these 7 pillows. That was their minhag. And once he got stumped by this kasha, they removed 1 pillow. And this went on and on. Next question on the next halacha. Until they took all the pillows out, from beneath him. Now Rabbi Yehuda was on the floor. Now Rabbi Yehuda gave a sabahava. Don't think Rabbi Yehuda was personally offended. Actually, he was impressed and happy. What a big Talmud Chacham. Wow. So Rabbi Yehuda was an older person. Gavra sabahava. And his lashes were sort of, covering over his eyes. Amalusi told the Talmidim, open my, lift my vachsai. I want to see this great man. The kaspa took a silver, little tweezer of some sort, and they lifted, and he opened his eyes. Chaza, he notices Rav Kahana. He finally saw him. He sees, it looked like he was a little bit smirking. That's what it looked like. The parties vases, he had a some sort of cut in his lip, and he figured he mistook it. It wasn't really, but he mistook it as like a smirk. Savar achoch k'machayich, he's like smirking at the fact that he stumped him. Chalashtait, he felt terrible. V'nach nafshe, and Rav Kahana passed away. L'macha, the next day, Amrli Rabbi Yehuda, they told Rabbi Yehuda, no, you made a mistake. Sorry, Amrlu Rabbi Yehuda Rabbanon. So Rabbi Yehuda turned to the Rabbanon. Chazula Bavla, oh, you see how disrespectful the Bavla, Rav Kahana from Bavel, how he Amrulay. So they told him, no, you're making a mistake. That's just his appearance. Darkei, that's the way he looks. Rabbi Yehuda felt distraught. He went to the cave where he was buried. Achna is like a big snake, curled in a circle, tail and mouth, blocking the entrance of the cave. Rabbi Yechon turns to the snake. Achna, psach, pumich, open your mouth, let me in. So Rabbi tell Talmud, Rav, myself, should enter the Talmud, Rav Kahana. V'le pas, I'll refuse to allow him. So he reconfigured his request, a colleague to a colleague. So he sort of demoted himself with respect to Rav Kahana. I'm just a colleague. V'le pasach, he was not allowed in. Okay, then he finally says, Yikonis Talmud, it's a Rav, I'm a Talmud to him. Let me go into the Rav. Pasach, now the snake let him in. It's amazing. The Mefarshim say, it's the Ben Ish Chai, I forget who. We find many instances of Tchias HaMesim throughout the Gemara, and we don't make a big deal of it. Mamash not. We speak about the Nisim, Mitzrayim, and we speak about, but we never really speak about Tchias HaMesim that happen throughout the Gemara. So the Mefarshim say it's not a chiddush. Some sefer. He says it's not a chiddush. It's after Matan Torah, the power of Torah, supernatural koyach of Torah can override everything. There's no wonder the Chachamim, the Chachmei Hashas, give him Chayim Mesim, just like that. Find it here, we find it in Megillah with Rabbi and Reb Zera, find it many times. So he woke him up. It was Chayim Mesim. Amalei, Rabbi Yechon apologized. Had I only known the Darki, the Mardachi, that's just your appearance, I would never have felt bad. I never gotten to this point. Please come back with us to the yeshiva. Rav Kahana says, slow. The if you can promise me, if you can daven that this is a one-time event, I'm never gonna have to go through this again. Azilna fine. But otherwise, I don't want to go back. Concerned that this might happen all over again. Once my time passed. Rashi says, once I experienced one miracle, who says I'm going to experience it again? I want to guarantee it's not going to happen again. Okay. Rabbi Yechon agreed. Tyra, he woke him up, so to speak, meaning he totally revived him. Ukmei, he got him up. Shaila kol svei gadavalei. And now Rabbi Yechon took the opportunity and asked him any question that he had in the halachos, and Rav Kahana had a ready answer. And Rabbi Yechon was duly impressed. That explains Rabbi Yechon's expression to the Bnei Yeshiva, to Chayin Amri. I used to think that the Torah belongs to you, the ones who reside in Eretz Yisrael, but now I see the Lohainu belongs to the Bnei Bava. Rav Kahana totally overtook the scene. Another fellow who was in cahoots with the authorities, and he showed them Amatak Sadar Rav Abba. Showed them to take the jewelry of Rav Abba. Sorry, Matak says some silk. Okay, some expensive items were lost to the authorities as a result of this fellow's involvement. Yasir Rabavo. So these Chacham was sitting, Rabavo, Rav Chanin, Rav Papa, Rav Yitzchak Nafcha, Yasir Rabbi Abayu. Okay, Rabbi was amongst them as well. Savral Chiyuve Mahadasnan. They figured this fellow has to pay. The Mishnah says so. Donas Hadin. The Mishnah speaks about a Dayan who erred in his judgment. He caused loss. It's called Dina de Garmi. He has to pay. Donas Hadin. Zikas Achai, V'chivas HaZakai, Times HaTor, V'tiras HaTami, right? He righted the wrong, he wronged the right, he made the tummy tar, tummy, Masha Asa Asu. Okay, done is done, but he has to pay. Vishalmi basically. Right? So we see that even Dibur, even a person's words, can trigger liability. Likewise, this case, who advised the authorities where to go. Amr Rabbi Lo responded, no. Rav specifies that's only because he physically handed it over. He actually made a tamei order physically, got involved, but just by way of words, we don't trigger this liability. It's called causation. It's not direct damage. Amrulay, they responded, no, we follow a different opinion. Zil Gabi Reb Shimon and Yakim, go to him. Rabbi Elazar Das and Rabbi Elazar Das as well. The Daini din the Gami, they hold that even Garmi, this form of causation is chayiv, even by way of words. Ozal Gabayu. So Rabbi Abba, right? They told Rabbi Abba to go to the other Paiskim, so he went to them. And in fact, Chayve Chivua, so they obligated this Moiser to pay for his shenanigans, Masnisin, based on a Mishnah, which is the Mishnah, back on DAF Design yesterday. Im Machmas HaGazlan, Chayv Lamelis Al Acher, So if the field was overtaken because of this yid, he has to repay the owner. What do you mean because of this yid? What exactly did he do? He showed him, he identified, he directed them to that field. We established yesterday, he showed them. He didn't actually steal. He just directed them to the field. And that's enough to hold him responsible. Likewise in our case. However, there was a certain fellow, there was a silver goblet deposited under his care. Okay, he was given the responsibility for that piece of Judaica. Saliku Ganavi, suddenly robbers arrived. Ailua Ilove, so the robbers showed up middle of the night. Shakla, they took the goblet. Yahava Lu. Sorry, Shakla Yahava Lu, meaning he took the, so they came in, and he offered them the goblet, he gave it away. The question is, does he have to pay for this? Also, the robbers, he came to Rabbi Potter, he says, no, you're Potter. Why is he Potter? Hi Matzel Atzmai b'mamra chaveru. He is saving himself, defending himself, using somebody else's property. Of course he's chayiv. Matzel Atzmai b'mamra chaveru. Right? He sort of satisfies them with somebody else's mum and he has to pay. Elam Rav Ashi. Rather, says Rashi like this. It depends. Chazina. We have to establish, why did they show up? Did they come just to rob him? Or did they have advanced information that this goblet was there and they came for the goblet, in which case it's unrelated to him. And he didn't cause this loss. Right? If he's an established, wealthy person, they came for him. So now he's chayiv for offering them this silver. But otherwise they came for the kais. So in this case, he's not responsible because, even a shamer, this is part of the arrangement. Look, I'm going to watch it, but not, at your own risk. I'm not going to, if they're going to come to steal it, I'm not going to, put up a fight. I'm going to, I'm going to give it to them and send them off. How here comes another story. So this first fellow we said basically saved his property by giving away the goblet because that's what they came for. But now comes another story. A fellow was holding on to a arnika de pinyan shvuim. It was money, a pouch of money filled with money intended for redeeming captives. Okay, there was sort of a fund for pinyan shvuim, and this fellow was watching it. Sliku ganbi. One day Ganavim show up. Ailua, Shakla, Saliki Ganvu Ilo Yavei. So Ganavim showed up by him. And the Mepharshim explain, the Ramach and the Shita says, they were really wild beasts. They were really going to kill this person. So his life was in danger. What did he do? He says, look, wow, it clicked. He has money. Pidyon Shvuim money. Very beautiful. Let me give them the Pidyon Shvuim money and save myself. Shakal Yavni Alai took the money, gave it to them. Also came the Rabbi, came to Rabbi Patri, said, you don't have to pay for that. I'm only Abaye. How? Why? V'amatzel atzmai b'mamayin chaveru. This is another classic case of protecting oneself by spending somebody else's property. You can't do that. Amalei, he responded, no! Night and day. Ein lecha Pidyon Shvuim gadol mizeh. It was a Pidyon Shvuim fund. Beautiful. It was applied for Pidyon Shvuim. Save himself. However, there was a story about a person, the Agdam v'aseh chamra lemabra. Kamei desliku inshi b'mabra. Mabra is like a ferry. So this fellow took his chamra, his donkey, big donkey, and he brought it into the ferry. Kamei desliku inshi b'mabra before, all the passengers showed up. Okay, they filled up and they're on their way. Boilat bui, the ship is about to sink because of its heavy load. Asau gavra. So, actually, some seem to have a girsa that the people were ready. All the passengers had already embarked on the ships. He came later, and he sort of waited down. And now they're on the way. And on their way, they decided they have to lighten the load quickly before this ship capsizes. Boilat bui. Also, Gavra, so this fellow comes along, says, okay, I have a quick solution. Malach le'lecham lo Gavra. So he swipes, he shoves this fellow's donkey into the river. V'shadrin nahar v'tava. And of course the donkey was no more, right? Drowned. Also coming, the rabbis that came to Rabbah, Patri said, you don't have to pay for that damage. Why? Because he was sinking the ship. Amalei Abaye says, what do you mean? He was saving himself by destroying the other fellow's property. Amalei, so he responded, no, the donkey owner is considered a roidif, a pursuer. Basically, his irresponsible, reckless behavior, bringing this huge animal onto this small, flimsy ship, was really an act of endangerment. He was being roidif. Technically, roidif means chasing, pursuing, and your victim. But it's just a sort of a term we use to describe a threatening situation. He was putting them all in danger. So obviously, they have a right to knock off his donkey. Rabbah, who holds this shita l'tameh, is following his own opinion, who says, just like you can kill a roidif, likewise you can expropriate his possessions. Right? Reuben is chasing to kill Shimon. And we know that a roidif is chayav misa, meaning you can kill the roidif as it's happening, right? So if the roidif stamps over, Kalim, damages any sort of thing on the way to kill his victim, Bein Shel Nirdaf, whether the Kalim belong to the victim, Bein Shel Kol Adam, or belongs to anybody else, Potter. He doesn't have to pay. Interesting. He doesn't have to pay. You know why? Because that act generates capital liability, meaning he's chayv misa. There's no chayv moment together with chayv misa. That's the first halacha. Second halacha is v'nirdav sheshiber sakelim sheroidev Potter. And the victim who's running away, if he breaks a kli belonging to the roidev, he's also Potter. Why? Shelo yehei if you can kill a person, you can destroy his things, right? His mamin can't be more valuable than his good. Right? So if you can save yourself by killing the roidef, you can certainly save yourself by damaging his property, of course. As per the story with the donkey, that explains why they're potter. But of course the victim who's running away destroys somebody else's property en route, of course it's chayav. There's no because there's no exemption, right? There's no p'tur to using somebody else's money to save yourself. Third halacha, it's just a package, 3 halachas together. So we have Ruvain pursuing Shimon because Shimon is pursuing Levi. Roidev sheyeh roidev achar roidev. Lahatzel, to save the victim. So Reuben is trying to kill Shimon because Shimon is pursuing Levi. Vishavar, and Reuben broke something. Kalim bein shel nirdav bein shel kol adam pata. Whether it's the nirdav meaning Shimon or anybody else's kalim is pata. You know why? It's not menadin. It's not plain halacha. Because really, if he breaks somebody else's stuff, he should be chayev. He's not a victim. He's trying to save the victim. So why is he chayev? Elosh imat imakim, because if you're not going to apply this exemption, you're not going to exempt him from any damages. Imat iyato imakim ein lecha adam shematzal chaver min haroidev. Nobody's going to get involved in pursuing a pursuer to save the victim because of concern that he might be mazik something on the way. So therefore we exempt him. Continues the mission. Shatfa nar. We continue about a fellow who stole a field. He overtook property, and now the river came and flooded it, and it's destroyed. So Gazlan can tell the owner, look, take your field back. I stole it, I want to return it. Okay, it's in a pretty dismal state, but so what? Take it back. He doesn't have to reimburse him. Tanu Rabbana. It's actually a machlokes. Whether you can get away with that. He steals a field and got flooded. He has to reimburse him. Take your field back. What's the machlokes about? Machlokes is whether overtaking a field constitutes a masa gezela. Whether the concept of stealing applies to karka. If it does, then he has to reimburse him with a healthy piece of land. Otherwise, take your field back. I never really stole it. I sat in it, but halachically, there was no change of status. It didn't really revert to my ownership, to my possession. I'm not really a gazlan. And therefore, there's no chiyuv hashava. Okay, that's the point of the next Gemara. Ma'ika mitzvah, what's the machlokes about? It's based on how to interpret the psukim, etc. Rabbi Lezer says that there's a chiyuv of hashavas gezel even by karka. Darash ribuyei umiyute. Throughout the Torah, he applies the ribuy miyut formula as follows. So we have the pasuk describing a gazlan, the kichesh v'amitoy. He denied stealing ribuy, pertaining to any item, all inclusive, no restrictions. Bipikadoin, miyut, pertaining to a deposited item. So that's a very specific description of a specific event. The pasuk continues, any type of denial. It's again a broad expression. So we have a broad, limited, and then broad again. Ribo miyut v'ribo riba koil. So basically everything is included. In the parasha of Hashavas Gazela, my Rabbi, what do we include? Rabbi Kamma, anything. Even property, even real estate, even karka. Umay miyut, but something has to be left out, because otherwise the Torah wouldn't have to speak about miyutim. Miyut shtoros, we leave the most unlikely item, which are shtoros, documents. So if the claim pertains to a document, after all, document doesn't really have inherent value. So there Rabbi Lezer says, we don't have the halacha of, the psukim there speak about swearing falsely and all that, so it doesn't apply to shtaros. Okay? That's Rabbi Lezer's opinion. But when it comes to karka, there is a masa gzeil and a chiyuv hashavas gzeil. Therefore, on a flooded field, compensation is in place. On the other hand, Rabbanan, they work with a different system. Right? Rabbanan dashi kloli prati. Instead of ribu and miyut, ribu is all-encompassing, and the miyut means exclusion. Inclusion, exclusion. So if something is excluded, you're okay, which is shtaros. Klali prati, on the other hand, is a different type of system. Klal is a general perception, general approach. Uprati is a specific approach. So it sort of limits it more, because you have to sort of meet the requirements. You have to have those required elements. You have to meet the criteria of the pratim in order to qualify. Klali pratim. So the same pasuk again. B'kichesh means klal, general, any type of denial. B'pikadin, prat is specific. Oy mikoil chaz b'chalal, back to general. Klal prat to klal, general, specific, general. Yeah, the okay, now prat. You can only include something which conforms to the prat. Ma prat. What's unique about the pikadin? Davar metatal. It's something which you can move with you. It has inherent value. Likewise, anything that features those criteria have the halachas of gzela and hashavat gzela and shvua. Yotzu karkoy shem metalton, as opposed to land which cannot be moved. Yotzu avadim shush karkoy, as opposed to avadim knanim, which have a halachic status like real estate, it's part of your estate. Yotzu shtoros, as opposed to documents. Shavu shem metalton, even though you can move it around, but engel for moment they don't have inherent value. So that's a chacham meshita. Karka is not nigzal. There's no chiyuv hashava. So even if it's flooded, take it back. The Gemara is going to ask on this pshat about Tanya. We have a brayso that it applies even to an animal that was stolen. Hagazal sapar. He stole a cow. Which tafana was flooded away by the river. It's gone. Chayev lamalei para. So the gazlan has to repay for that. Did Rabbi Lezer? The chacham no. Amaloi haresh lafanecha. Take your animal back, even though it's destroyed, even though it's dead. No. So my there it's not stationary. Real estate, it's metaltal, right? It's like any other metaltal. So why do the Chacham say you're potter? Amar Papa. Here comes a pshat. It does relate to karka. House of my skin over there was speaking about a case on Shimon stole a field. That's first of all. But how you saw parer with a boy on which there was a cow sitting. There was never a separate act of stealing on the parer, only on the field. And then came a river and destroyed the parer. The Rabbi Lezer will tell me. Rabbi Lezer holds you have to pay. You know why? He goes like his shita that you can do a masa gzela on karka. So he technically stole the field, and on the field we have the par which comes along. That's called kinyan agav. It's sort of a bundle together, one package with the field. He's kind of the karka and the par. So he's chayv on both. On the other hand, the Rabban hold there's no masa, there's no act, there's no legal transfer of ownership when it comes to stealing karka. So he was not kind of the sada, nor the para, which was on the sada. So now the river came along, I'm not responsible. Take it back, your field and your damaged parah. Okay, for a brief recap, we discussed instances where the Chacham applied a knas, Hedek Shein Nikr. We have various stories of a Meiser, and the bottom line is, if a person initiates, gets involved in destroying and damaging people's Yiddish land and property, is chayiv. We had the whole story with Rav Kahana, who killed this Meiser, ended up at Rabbi Yehuda, who was very impressed. Machayim Meisim. Then we have the halacha of the person who was confronted by robbers who came to steal that silver goblet, so he gave it away and he's patur. Likewise, a fellow who used pizin shvimai to redeem himself. Story with the donkey on the ferry, he had the din of a roidiv, so they're patur. The machlekes, whether kinyan exel applies to kak. Psuras tevis and atzlacha rab always.